thank you all for joining. If this is your first event, huge welcome. We are going to get started with a new format today, which is AI demos. The brief to our speakers was show the magic. And so I hope they have prepared something that will wow you all. And so first up, we have Brian, who's a founding engineer from Speakeasy. Thank you, Brian.
Brian gets us going. Who all has heard of MCP? Just raise your hands. Okay, good.
Excellent. That's always a good start, yeah.
How many people have used an MCP server in the wild today? Okay, great. Has anyone built an MCP server? Hands keep rising every few months, so I'm impressed. But I know Brian over here is working on generating an MCP server. In just a few seconds, we should have it ready.
Yeah, so basically what you just saw there in this 25-second clip was essentially us building and making an MCP server hosted and available, straight from uploading your API specification all the way into actually making it available. Okay, so hi. If you're not familiar with Speakeasy, I'll give you a little quick run through. Thank you so much, Victoria. Appreciate that. Yeah, basically Speakeasy, we've been around for about 2 years now, and our kind of mission here is to kind of unlock the full potential of APIs. So what does that actually mean in practice? That essentially means that we have a few products. If you've heard of us before, you probably heard of us from building SDKs, so we can take your OpenAPI specifications and make, Golang, Python, TypeScript, et cetera, Rec query, all that good stuff with APIs available to your consumers super easily. And through that, we also support the ability to take your APIs. If you have multiple APIs, you're working in a big company, for example, we also have a platform or a registry where you can host these and work with your teammates to find discoverability and go through all of that. Another product that we're currently working on is docs as well. So it's basically brandable docs, make it really easy for you to get your APIs and your ecosystem kind of prepped with all the documentation they need. And the last thing, which we're here to talk about today, is agent tools. So what's all this about, right? Just a brief primer of MCP if you're not familiar with it. Basically, these are the ways that you talk to external systems in your AI environments, right? So you as a human, you're kind of talking to some sort of agent runtime. That might be Claude. It might be something else like ChatGPT, OpenAI stuff, et cetera. But basically, there's this new protocol that Anthropic and a few others in the industry have developed called Model Context Protocol. And what that allows you to do is kind of bridge the gap between the AI world and the real world, if you will. So external systems. This might be things like file systems. It might be APIs. It might be other things as well. So if you've taken any old API and tried to just generate it with OpenAPI, you might have run into some weirdness. But basically, essentially what you can do is take all of your API operations and throw them into an MCP server and say, go wild, go crazy with this, right? But the problem is that the LLMs and the things that are actually talking to this get really confused when you get a lot of different API endpoints and things going on. And also, a lot of these API definitions, like the descriptions for either the operations or the properties, they're really written for human consumption, right? Most API documentation is for humans today. So basically, that's kind of the first level of problems with building MCP servers. And then the next level is actually how do you make this enterprise ready? How do you make this production ready? You want telemetry, you want auditing, you want all this good stuff. And then eventually you have to think about hosting it. MCP is super new. So all of the things coming out with MCP are hot off the press. And they're evolving every single month. So basically what we're doing at Speakeasy right now, we're creating this product called 𝗚𝗿𝗺. And it's kind of going to be this in-between between you and your APIs and your agents, essentially. And the biggest value proposition here is that it's really about the curation and the distribution of these MCP servers, right? So basically, this sort of platform that we're releasing actually next week, essentially is going to be a place where you can kind of throw in all your tools, throw in your API specifications, and you can create what we call as a tool set. And from that tool set, it might be not just your APIs. It could actually be like all of your marketing APIs. So if you're talking to HubSpot or GitHub or whatever you're kind of talking to behind the scenes, you can kind of mix and match each of these APIs and build these workflows essentially that allow you to get that information AI ready and available. So we do support like custom prompts and everything, and we can actually go through a demo if we have quick time. But basically, if you're interested in learning more about this, we just did a technical preview launch to a few folks, but it should be going live next week or so. And you're welcome to join the waitlist. And essentially, like what we're trying to do is make it so it's super simple to build and distribute these MCP servers out there. So with that, just real quickly, if you want to see this, this is actually like super light. Like I'm doing this right here, but essentially, like I can take any specification. In my case, I'm actually going to use 𝗚𝗿.co, which is a fantastic link service if you've never used it before. And ta-da, we have 43 tools, just like that. And what I can do is I can actually take these tool sets and wrap them all up nicely together. Click in here. And essentially, right now, I have it set up with just like my Speakeasy admin API. But for example, you can actually mix and match each of these endpoints. You can edit all the descriptions of these things to make it more AI friendly. And you can make your lives super easier for your users. And you can kind of imagine like if you were like trying to enable your marketing team, for example, and you wanted to set up certain things where, oh, I want to let them ask about a customer and get information from a bunch of sources or create deals in HubSpot and that sort of thing. This is a really neat part of our tooling where essentially you can actually bind these things together and actually make these workflows. And that's what I was kind of describing earlier. So in this case, what I actually did to get this started was I told the product, it basically props up a prompt that says like, oh, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to get all the available organization information for Speakeasy users. And what it did was it found all the API operations that were associated with organizations and kind of globbed them all together and created this awesome thing. And what that looks like in practice is essentially, make sure this is, yep. So you can add an MCP server into Claude, for example, and I've already connected this one. All I did is put you can either do the authentication directly locally, or you can actually use what we call just a Gram API key in this case, and let that system handle all the authentication. And basically at this point, all I have to do is just kind of ask it, tell me, sure. So this is basically my like little playground thing in our system. But basically what it's going to go to do is Claude's going to go figure out that, oh, hey, by the way, you wanted to call that like, higher order tool, as it's called. And what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, you gave me the name of the thing, but, oh, I realize you need like all this other information, right? So it actually knows to go make those other calls for you automatically. Super powerful, super fun to play with, honestly. And once it's done, like making all these API calls, basically what'll happen is it'll give me a nice summary of all the information about, my own things. So that's it.